daal gannaaw bi ma ñëwee wax dëgg yàlla jàngee naa ci lu bari ci wàllum liggéey surtout agriculture parce que man ma nekkee Libya am naa fa tuuti expérience boo xam ne moom bi ma ñëwee suma réew tamit maa ngi ko tàmbale waaye gannaaw loolu noonu tamit jàngee naa tamit because si yoon bi façon nit bu nekk gis naa leen so façon jikko bu nekk tam gis naa leen so loolu dimbale na ma taw loo xam ne tamit wax dëgg yàlla moom defar na suma aduna ci wàllu nu ma waxee nit nu ma waxee suma morom ni ma waxee kilifa ni ma waxee koo xam ne tamit maa la mag wax dëgg yàlla moom jàngee naa lu bëri bëri moom dëgg yàlla moom man daal kontaante bu ne ci mag bi ma dellu see parce que benn deew ma ñaareel yàlla tegul ma feebar tamit so ba pare ñetteel tamit ma ñibbi si suma réew ci jàmm loolu rek wax dëgg yàlla moom mooy suma kontaante bi ma ñibbi see moom.
And a lot about my migration journey. I have a lot of experience because like I now know that nothing good comes easily and it's a matter of patience. If I was having patience, I would not have taken this route to go there. I would have patience to look for other opportunities in order to help my family. So this migration journey has taught me nothing but patience and also how to be self-confident and self-reliance.
In a country always thirsty for more, a team of superheroes with special powers unite to redefine the way we are connected. Big Barbaram Pagasi steps up your communication with the TOK service, giving you 1,000 minutes of talk time to one special person for $150 is only, valid for 1 month. Enjoy your talk time. Type SUB and send by SMS to 135 to activate the TOK service. AfriCell got office with the power to change the world. Do you enjoy spending time online with your friends on social media? If so, then AfriCell has the best offer for you. Activate the social media bundle for $10 is only and enjoy 40 megabytes valid for 24 hours. WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and Viber all for $10 is only. Dial 120 hash and press 3 to activate the social media bundle. No need to subscribe every day. It will automatically roll over for your enjoyment. AfriCell Social Media Bundle. Let us socialize.
It's a wonderful opportunity to our studio here in Serekunda. This is Star TV News with me, Jacqueline Coley. First, the headlines. National Civic Education spends over $16 million in 2022. Former VP Toure to resume Gamco Trap role. June 30th marks World Astronaut Day. GFF presidential election set for August 27 on the international scene. Protests over economic woes enter second day in Ghana. R. Kelly sentenced to 30 years in prison for sex crimes. Life in Russia, occupied parts of Ukraine has changed. Those were the headlines and now the news in detail. The National Council for Civic Education on Wednesday submitted the activity report and financial statement for the year 2020 to the Finance and Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly. The report reveals that the Council's expenditure in 2020 amounted to over $16 million. Our parliamentary reporter, Mariamadem, reports.
The financial statement presented before the FPAC members by the NCCE includes the subventions received from the government and other revenue from donors in 2020 and the Council's expenditures, among other things. According to the Admin and Finance Manager at the National Council for Civic Education, Lamin Sanyang, the Council received an income of $17,671,023 in 2020, and this includes the government subventions of $11,858,110, and the rest is support from partners.
We received a total income of $17,671,023 and $23.36 compared to the previous year of $10,287,000 and $66.82. The revenue comprises of the subvention from the government, which was a total of $11,858,110. That's what we received in the year under review. compared to the previous year, 8,589,634. We also receive funding from other donors like the Tango, UNFPA, UNDP, and UNICEF. Okay.
Mr. Nyasi in his presentation says the council spent $16,922,554, which includes $4,558,218 on salaries in 2020, bank charges of $15,218, council allowances of $39,900.
And the components for these expenditures comprises of bank charges of $15,218.54 compared to the previous year of $5,108.60. The salaries, we spent a total of $4,558,108.78 compared to the previous year of $2,505,922.45.
Among the other expenses made by the NCCE are fuel, $637,399, local travel, $30,000, vehicles maintenance, $363,200, insurance, $4,855, telephone, $231,110, airtime and community sensitization, $5,122,243, training, workshops and seminars, $1.4 million, capital expenditures, $393,500, maintenance of office building, $10,920, water and electricity, $86,100, maintenance of equipment, $57,050, stationery, $44,660, contracts and consultation services, $225,000, and staff loan of $189,676.
Of this, a total of $16,922,554 is one budut was the total expenditure for the year under review, whereas in the previous year, a total of $10,333,561 was spent. 564.68 buduts was spent. Okay, we had a net income of, that is, after taking out all the expenses from the revenue, we had a net income of $748,469.35 buduts. In the previous year, we had a deficit of $497.86 buduts.
Mr. Nyasi also disclosed that the NCCE had an opening balance of over $500,000 and a book balance of $1,254,565 in 2020.
At the end of the year, a total cash book balance of $1,254,565.45 was what we had at the close of the year as our cash and cash book balance at the year end.
The NCCE financial statement was audited by the National Audit Office. Sering Mas Jallo of the National Audit Office highlights some of the observations and recommendations made by the Audit Office to the NCCE.
In general, just to record individual transactions to their respective revenue or expenditure account heads. Implication, it will be difficult to ascertain the accuracy of figures of the financial statement, which may lead to unnoticed misstatement of the financial statement. Priority high recommendation, the Council should prepare individual ledgers and revise the financial statements, as the ledgers should form the basis for preparing the financial statements. Auditors for the comment, ledgers were prepared and confirmed. Honorable Chair, please refer to page 36, 3.2.2, inadequate accounting policy. We noted that the accounting policy of the Council was not adequate. It did not include policy for assets, the reporting date, and the reporting currency. Implication: inadequate accounting policies might lead to limited information, thus making it difficult for financial statement users to make informed financial decisions. Priority high recommendation: the Council should revise the accounting policy in accordance with IPSA's cash basis requirements.
Maria Madam, reporting for Star TV News.
The former Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia has revealed plans to resume fighting for the rights of women and girls as he resumes her position as the Secretary General of GAMCO-TRAP. The former Vice President Toure has been on the front line battling for the welfare of women before assuming public office. Model Baji has more.
GAMCO-TRAP is a grassroots women's rights organization established in 1984 after a regional conference was organized in Dakar, Senegal by World Health Organization. The focus of the conference was to discuss issues regarding harmful traditional practices that affect the reproductive health of women in Africa. As a result, the Gambia Committee on Traditional Practices Affecting the Health of Women and Children was constituted to respond to and address those practices affecting women's sexual and reproductive health. Rights such as female genital mutilation, early marriage, and nutritional taboos, among others. After her being relieved from her cabinet appointment, Dr. Aissatou Toure has decided to take up the helm of leadership at GAMCO-TRAP to continue her battle against illegal practices against women and children.
So I'm pleased to say that I am back as Executive Director of GAMCO-TRAP. I am here to work with both men and women. We are looking carefully and reflecting on the issues, and we appreciate the effort of the UN. They have been very catalytic. They have been facilitating. They have been objectively engaging on both sides of the aisles. That is, within the government framework and at the same time with civil society. Maybe we have to come together in a conversation as civil society to see how we move Gambia's democracy to a level where the gender disparities are going to be addressed and be a forgotten system through various intervention strategies, supporting the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, as well as all other institutions that want to engage in a just society.
The move was part of efforts to support the government of the Gambia in its blueprints to promote the rights of women and children and the participation of women in politics. However, to actualize these rigorous challenges, the former vice president called for a serious dialogue.
In by the women. If we go on looking at the statistical representation, women have not been gender biased. Women have been coming out to do what they want to do. But positions that are headed, male-headed institutions, and where power lies, the political will may be limited. And we need to ensure that women come in. The only answer to that for me is a democracy. People have a right to choose who they are, but we need to educate the population. We need to create awareness and sensitization at different levels. You have the policy level where the formal equality needs to be done, and there is progress, but we still have a lot to do. Then you come to the level where you have substantial equality, where people or women will have to enjoy what those laws and translate them into reality for us to see them. It's not happening. And because it is not happening, we need to engage in a very serious social mobilization, where both men and women.
In her advocacy and creating awareness around traditional practices and other gender-related issues affecting sexual and reproductive health and children's rights, Dr. Aissatou Toure has succeeded in the decriminalization of female genital mutilation during the reigns of former President Yahya Jammeh. For Star TV, I am Model Baji.
Every year on June 30th, the world celebrates International Asteroid Day to raise awareness about the devastating impact of an asteroid when it crashes on Earth. Our son has the details.
The role of the asteroid in the formation of our universe includes how their resources can be used in the future. Asteroids provide the way for future exploration and also looked into how the planet can be protected from the impacts of asteroids. Asteroid Day aims to raise awareness about asteroid impact hazards and what can be done to protect the Earth, its families, communities, and future generations from a catastrophic event. According to research, in December 2016, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution declaring 30th June International Asteroid Day to observe each year at the international level the anniversary of the Tunguska impact over Siberia, Russian Federation on 30th June 1908. Therefore, asteroids are rocky objects that are found orbiting around the Sun and also between the planets Mars and Jupiter's. It is necessary to understand asteroids' hazardous impacts, so this World Asteroid Day is celebrated across the globe to educate people about asteroids and their impacts. For Star TV News, I am Awasani.
The most anticipated GFF election is fast approaching. The election campaign for the GFF presidency has long begun, even before nominations took place. The appointed electoral committee for the upcoming GFF elections earlier today made the announcement of the important dates for the forthcoming elections. More in this report. The electoral committee is elected by the members of the GFF in the last annual general meeting held in December of 2021 in line with Article 30.2 of the Constitution of the Gambia Football Federation, which states as follows: elections should be conducted by an electoral committee which shall be elected by the General Assembly in the AGM before the elective Congress in compliance with Electoral Code. The mandate of the electoral committee is derived from the Electoral Code of the Federation, which will be the guiding principle for the members throughout the electoral process. The code is also voted in by the members of the GFF. The Vice Chairman of the Electoral Committee, Sekou B. Jaju, announced that the most anticipated elections for the top position at the Federation will take place on the 27th of August 2022. He revealed how the process will be done, ranging from nominations to the declarations of eligible candidates.
The Electoral Committee will announce the list of qualified candidates in line with Article 12.1 of the Electoral Code on Thursday, 4th August 2022. On Thursday, 4th August 2022. This gives the candidates time, and this will give the candidates time should they wish to appeal the decision of the Electoral Committee. The final list of qualified candidates will be published on Saturday, 13 August 2022. The final list of qualified candidates will be published on Saturday, 13 August 2022. 5. The election date is set for Saturday, 27 August 2022, commencing 10 a.m. prompt. The venue for the election will be decided later and the public will be informed accordingly.
The election process will be conducted using the secret ballot system, but out of 103 members of the GFF, only 73 have the voting rights to vote in this important phase in Gambian football.
Voting by proxy will not be allowed. Only delegates present will be entitled to vote. Elections will be conducted by secret ballot. Delegates must belong to the members that they represent and must have the authority of the body of that member to attend the General Assembly on his behalf. Members of the Executive Committee and the General Secretary can take part in the General Assembly without voting rights. We all know about that. They cannot be appointed as delegates to an association, to any of the associations. All members shall be elected to serve in the office for a term of 4 years and shall be eligible for re-election only once.
However, the Electoral Committee received a protest letter from Sadibou Kamaso, aspiring president for the top post of the GFF, protesting that the General Secretary of the Gambia Football Federation, Lamin Jasseh, excused himself from the Electoral Committee in the interest of fair play. Kamaso in the letter alleged that Mr. Jasseh was involved in a political campaign in favor of the incumbent Lamin Kababajo. Despite these accusations against the GS of the GFF, the Electoral Committee boss assured the public of their credibility and fairness in the way they will conduct these elections.
As we noted his concern and had replied his letter accordingly, We want to assure the general public that, God willing, the Electoral Committee will conduct the election with all fairness and without any undue influence or interference from either party. It should be noted that it is in our best interest to protect our integrity moving forward. And then, given the situation as it had happened the last thing, I think WAFU, CAF, and FIFA have even endorsed the decisions taken by our previous body, given that the matter even went all the way to the court. But we feel that we were totally impartial to make sure that the best decision is passed across board, because it has nothing to do with any other thing but our personal integrity, and that we need to preserve and protect.
Asked to assure the public of his fairness and that he wouldn't be biased in the elections, the General Secretary Lamin Jase made reference to his track records in the past elections.
I've been the secretary to the committee the last elections. I'm not new, it's not new. And I'm even baffled that my being the secretary of this committee has been challenged. I was really confused by it, because when the Act came into force, that was in 2018, as you rightly said, it was very clear that the General Secretary and the Secretariat, the General Secretary served as the Secretary to the committee, and the Secretariat is not just the General Secretary. In fact, if I am not here, I can even identify people to come and support these people. The Electoral Committee doesn't have an office. The Electoral Committee is a judicial arm body of the Gambia Football Federation, just like the Appeals Committee. I'm a member of the Appeals Committee. I'm a secretary to the Appeals Committee, but I'm not a member. I don't vote in the appeals decision.
Meanwhile, only 2 people have shown interest in the forthcoming election so far, to be held in August 2022, the incumbent Lamin Kababajo and aspirant Sadebu Kamaso. Jacqueline Coley for Star TV News. Those were the local stories. The international news will come up soon after the short break. Do stay tuned.
daal gannaaw bi ma ñëwee wax dëgg yàlla jàngee naa ci lu bari ci wàllum liggéey surtout agriculture parce que man ma nekkee Libya am naa fa tuuti expérience boo xam ne moom bi ma ñëwee suma réew tamit maa ngi ko tàmbale waaye gannaaw loolu noonu tamit jàngee naa tamit because si yoon bi façon nit bu nekk gis naa leen so façon jikko bu nekk tam gis naa leen so loolu dimbale na ma taw loo xam ne tamit wax dëgg yàlla moom defar na suma aduna ci wàllu nu ma waxee nit nu ma waxee suma morom ni ma waxee kilifa ni ma waxee koo xam ne tamit maa la mag wax dëgg yàlla moom jàngee naa lu bëri bëri moom dëgg yàlla moom man daal kontaante bu ne ci man bi ma dellusee parce que benn deew ma ñaareel yàlla tegul ma feebar tamit so ba pare ñetteel tamit ma ñibbi si suma réew ci jàmm loolu rek wax dëgg yàlla moom mooy suma kontaante bi ma ñibbisee moom.
And a lot about my migration journey. I have a lot of experience because I now know that nothing good comes easily and it's a matter of patience. If I was having patience, I would not have taken this route to go there. I would have patience to look for other opportunities in order to help my family. So this migration journey has taught me nothing but patience and also how to be self-confident and self-reliance.
In a country always thirsty for more, a team of superheroes with special powers unite to redefine the way we are connected. Big Farber steps up your communication with the DOK service, giving you 1,000 minutes of talk time to one special person for $150 is only, valid for 1 month. Enjoy your talk time. Type SUB and send by SMS to 135 to activate the TOK service. AfriCell got office with the power to change the world. Do you enjoy spending time online with your friends on social media? If so, then AfriCell has the best offer for you. Activate the social media bundle for $10 is only and enjoy 40 megabytes valid for 24 hours. WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and Viber all for $10 is only. Dial 120# and press 3 to activate the social media bundle. No need to subscribe every day. It will automatically roll over for your enjoyment. AfriCell Social Media Bundle. Let us socialize.
Welcome back after the short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is Star TV News coming from our studios here in Serekunda. Now on the international news. In Ghana, demonstrations in Ghana capital have gathered for a second day of protest against spiraling inflation and other economic woes after the first day ended in clashes with police and 29 arrests. Wednesday's protest kicked off at about noon GMT amid a heavy police presence. Hundreds had taken to the streets on Tuesday to denounce price hikes, attacks on electronic payments, and other levers amid an economic downturn. Police dispersed the authorized march with tear gas and water cannon after demonstrators turned violent and wounded a dozen officers, according to a statement. They arrested 29 demonstrators for attacks and damage to public property and were reviewing footage of the event to identify more participants. Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris reports from the capital, Accra.
Back for a second day of protest despite an earlier crackdown. A meeting with the country's deputy finance minister and then a march to the parliament, while the demonstrators demanded the government reverse what they called punitive economic policies.
Today, the ordinary Ghanaian is struggling to afford 3 square meals a day, not even 2 square meals a day, because we are suffering. From 14 Ghana cedis in 2016, the price of a gallon of diesel and petrol has galloped to a whopping 61 Ghana cedis. Today, the price of a bag of cement has galloped from 28 Ghana cedis to 62 Ghana cedis.
The rising cost of living is one reason demonstrators are on the streets, but organizers say they're also concerned about political corruption, increases in taxes, as well as alleged cases of human rights abuses by security forces. They say all these are combining to make life difficult for most people here in Ghana.
Members of parliament say they are aware of the country's growing economic and social problems.
We will do what is needful. The petition itself will thoroughly be debated on the floor of Parliament and positions taken. But my first advice would be for the President to halt momentarily all petroleum-related taxes to save the lives and improve the quality of living of Ghanaians.
On Tuesday, the protest turned ugly as demonstrators clashed with police, who say at least a dozen officers were hurt and vehicles damaged. The demonstrators said police fired rubber-coated steel bullets at them and arrested dozens. Less than 2 years into his second term, Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo is coming under increasing pressure. The economy is faltering, unemployment is rising, and inflation has reached its highest level in decades. Analysts here say the government and parliament must quickly act to calm an already agitated population. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Accra, Ghana.
R&B star R. Kelly has been sentenced to 30 years in prison for using his superstardom to subject young fans, some just children, to systematic sexual abuse. The singer and songwriter, 55, was convicted for racketeering and sex trafficking last year at a trial and then gave voice to Assurance, who had once wondered if their stories were being ignored because they were black women. U.S. District Judge Ann Donnelly imposed the sentence on Wednesday after hearing from several survivors who attested to how Kelly's exploitation reverted across their lives. Al Jazeera's Rosalind Jordan reports.
I just believe it. There's nothing to it. I believe I can fly.
In a perfect world, no one outruns or flies away from accountability, not even the pop singer R. Kelly. who on Wednesday was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison on charges he moved underage girls across state lines for sex. Kelly's victims say they never thought they'd see the day.
I was an up-and-coming singer. I was a girl full of life, very innocent but very driven, and preyed upon basically at the mall in Aventura, Florida, and promised just a mentorship and quickly turned into, I would just say, a sex slave.
Kelly had been accused for more than 30 years of preying on teenagers, using their dreams of stardom to physically, sexually, and mentally abuse them. He illegally married the singer Aaliyah in 1994 when she was 15 years old. The marriage was annulled. Kelly's 2002 trial on child pornography charges ended 6 years later with an acquittal. But in 2017, prosecutors started taking women's accusations more seriously, thanks in part to the documentary Surviving R. Kelly.
Can you describe the physical abuse?
God, I can't take another day. I can't do this anymore.
In 2019, Kelly was arrested in the current case. His defense team says it's appealing.
All I can tell you is there was no enterprise. There was no enterprise. It was one man with allegations by a number of women, which doesn't make it an enterprise. And that is why he's not guilty of racketeering.
Kelly's victims say they're counting on the courts to make things right.
I started this journey 30 years ago. I was 14 years old when I encountered Robert Sylvester Kelly. There wasn't a day in my life up until this moment that I actually believed that the judicial system would come through for black and brown girls. I stand here very proud of my judicial system, very proud of my fellow survivors, and very pleased with the outcome.
R. Kelly's legal problems are far from over. In August, he will go on trial in Illinois on similar charges. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera.
Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine 4 years ago, getting information about life in the regions Russian forces have occupied has become increasingly difficult. Russia's invasion ended access to Ukrainian products, but those produced in Russia are expensive and take time to arrive. And Russia is phasing out Ukraine's currency in favor of its rubles, which are not always easy for Ukrainians to access. Large protests against the occupation in the initial stage after the invasion are now rare, but a resistant movement is beginning to appear rather. Al Jazeera's Charles Strafford reports from Kyiv.
This is a market in Russian-occupied Kherson, southern Ukraine. The city fell to Russian forces in early March. This footage, acquired by Al Jazeera, shows how much life has changed since. Much of it was filmed secretly. Russia's invasion has ended access to Ukrainian products, and those produced in Russia are expensive and take time to arrive. Much of the vodka and beer is homemade. Russia changed the currency to rubles when its army took control. The Ukrainian hryvnia is being phased out. Telephone networks are now Russian. A Russian soldier hands over his Z military badge as a form of ID to a girl selling Russian phone SIM cards. Another soldier looks suspiciously at the camera. These people gather around a private home to use its Wi-Fi connection because internet coverage is hard to find. In the villages around Kherson, life for some is even harder.
Only one shop is open. They bring food once or twice a week, mainly bread and grain. But you need cash, and we don't have any because the ATM doesn't work. There is no internet. We can't get in touch with our relatives. We live as if on an uninhabited island.
People wait outside the only Ukrainian bank still operating. It doesn't open every day, and Russian banks are yet to arrive. The Russian army is never far away. Large anti-Russian demonstrations rarely happen anymore. Russian forces have used tear gas to break them up in the past. But there is still defiance. An increasingly dangerous and symbolic gesture against Russian occupation is attaching yellow ribbons to things. Ukrainians, Kherson's underground movement continues our fight, says the man, his face and voice heavily disguised. Every day we distribute leaflets and yellow ribbons. We share information with the armed forces of Ukraine about the Russian forces' locations. Friends, we don't know if this video will make it to you, he says, but know that the Kherson underground movement is working and continues to fight. This is a destroyed car belonging to a Ukrainian who was killed when it exploded in a suspected bomb attack after he accepted a job in the Russian administration. No one has claimed responsibility. There have been at least 3 other attempted murders of Ukrainians suspected of working with Russian occupying forces.
Ukrainian military intelligence says it's working to recruit agents and partisans to work inside Russian-occupied regions. This website, in Ukrainian and English, was set up by the Ministry of Defence and Ukrainian Special Forces. It gives news of partisan activity and guidance on how people under occupation can resist Russian rule.
It's difficult to know how many people support Russia's invasion in the southern Kherson region. Russia says it's planning to hold a referendum in the autumn, something Ukraine, its Western backers and many people living under Russian forces say will be a farce. Charles Stratford, Al Jazeera, Kyiv.
And before we end the news, a recap of our main headlines. National Civic Education spends over $16 million in 2022. Former VP Toure to resume Gamco Trap role. June 30th marks World Astronaut Day. GFF presidential election set for August 27 on the international scene. Protests over economic woes enter second day in Ghana. R. Kelly sentenced to 30 years in prison for sex crimes. Life in Russia, occupied parts of Ukraine has changed. That's all for this edition of the news. Do join us tomorrow for more news. Stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. Thanks for watching and bye for now.